Okay.
Apparently, I had to add a title.
We need somebody to give us the 3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Okay, I just got a notification on my phone that we are live. I've got comments on my phone. Y'all, thank you so much for being patient with us. We are officially live right now. Morgan and I are talking on Zoom because Facebook just was not cooperating with us this morning. We couldn't get it going, but thank y'all for sticking it out and for being so patient with us and bearing with us. If y'all want to go ahead and be putting any questions that you have for Morgan down in the comment box so that we can kind of get those going, that'll be awesome. And Morgan and I will go ahead and get into this interview. And y'all, I apologize that we are a little late today, but we are getting it together and we're still going to have a fun cookie conversation. So, Morgan
Yes.
and I met, let's see, was it a year ago? Has it been a full year?
Yes, it has. Yeah, I guess it was April last year.
Yeah, it was right around when quarantine started, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we met. We've never actually been in the same room together besides
Right.
virtually, but we met
We met
virtually.
2020 style.
Yes, yes, exactly. Through the Business Boutique program, which is the Christy Wright program for ladies with businesses. And we connected over our baking and cookie obsession and business. And we've just been really good friends ever since. And I think you've got such good insight to share about baking professionally and the cookie world. So just tell us a little bit about yourself. I'll let you kind of start us off.
Well, my name's Morgan. I live in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which it's a fairly small place, so may or may not have heard of it. It's about an hour south of Nashville. It's the Tennessee walking horse capital of the world. That's like our claim to fame, I guess. I am 28. I'm single, no kids. I went to culinary school. I got a pastry degree. It's been about, gosh, I think maybe 5 years, 6 years since I graduated. Time goes by really fast. And I just worked a bunch of different kitchens. I've done I worked for a catering company. I worked for the Omni Hotel downtown. I worked for a vegan bakery for a little while, so that was a cool experience.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
So I worked at Subway. I've just done a little bit of anything and everything in a kitchen. And then I guess it was probably about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I moved back home and opened my own shop. So I opened Mouth of the South Bakery when I was 23, which was very young. But it worked out great. It was a huge success, in my opinion. I ended up closing, I guess it was about right around maybe a little over 2 years ago. And then after that, I just went back to cottage baking, just doing everything out of my house, and it's been wonderful. And I know that there's a huge group of cottage bakers out there, and it's so much fun, and it's a really cool business to be into. So.
Well, we were talking about last night how it's hard to go back to thinking about a job outside your home when you're baking at home. Like, it's so nice getting to be barefoot and messy bun in your kitchen every day and not have to actually leave your house. It's kind of you get spoilt to it in a sense.
Yeah, so every once in a while I'm like, oh, maybe I don't know, maybe I should put some makeup on. Maybe I need to get out and go to the grocery store just to say I got out of the house today. But yeah, it's fun.
Well, I love that you put on concealer to go to the grocery store, because I'll be honest, sometimes when I'm like, oh, no, I'm out of butter, I've got to run, I'll be walking into the grocery store in like my pajama pants with my hair all crazy, and they're like, well, Sarah ran out of butter again.
Yeah, I know. I pretty much always have on like my bakery t-shirts when I go to the store, and I probably shouldn't, because I usually look so rough. I probably shouldn't want them to associate my face with that.
I'm sure you look beautiful. You do. Well, I have a question. I have like a little list of questions for you here that I
Okay.
think will kind of help us move through our conversation. So, when did you know that you wanted to bake professionally?
Um, I kind of never really knew what I wanted to do, honestly. Like I'm still, there's a lot of days where there's so many things I still want to do as far as work. It's just was always so hard for me to pick one thing. I actually started out in college working on a criminal justice degree, and I have about half of one. And then I just transferred and went to culinary school, and I think it was such a good fit because I love the creative side of it. I love anything crafty, artistic, and I love the business side of it. I love numbers and math and making all of that work together. And I love the marketing aspect of it, all of it put together. So I just felt like it was a really good fit. And I kind of always knew that I wanted to work for myself.
Mhm.
So it was just perfect. I don't really, it's hard to think back now and think of doing something different, I guess, when I spent so long of my life not knowing what I wanted to do. So I don't really, I guess I didn't have like an epiphany moment, but it was just kind of like, yeah, all of this works, all of this fits together, all of it fits me, and I think I can make a career out of this.
It
So
just clicked, didn't it? That's
yeah.
awesome. Well, I know you said midway through your culinary school path, you had switched from savory to sweet. What made you want to make the switch from savory to sweet?
I think it was more of that artistic side. I mean, don't get me wrong, all food is artistic, and
Mhm.
um, you know that if you talk to any kind of chef, they've got this, this artiste attitude about them.
They have our same vibe.
Yeah, yeah, but I just really felt like you could do, I guess, the decorating, just the pastry, even like plated desserts. I think are so fun. It's a lot of, I just love that artistic side of it. I felt like there was more of that on the pastry side. And of course, I love sweets. Love to eat sweets.
Who
People
doesn't?
ask me if
Yes.
I get tired of eating cookies, and I'm like, no, I still eat all the scraps every single time.
Same, same. Like if I make it through a set without munching on dough, I'm calling it a huge win. It doesn't
Yes,
happen
I know.
often.
You just get to where you mindlessly just, oh, there's a
Yes.
crumb.
Those scraps in the bowl are so tempted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, how did you get into cookie decorating specifically? Like, was there a point in your culinary school planned when you were taught to decorate cookies, or did you teach yourself?
No, so actually, a lot of people are surprised when I tell them about culinary school, the pastry school, because like I had one in my wedding cake class. Well, I call it a wedding cake class. It was like a decorative tiered cake class. My chef that taught it, he was from California, and he had a lot of opinions, and so did I, and we didn't always get along great. But I remember one day in class, I had asked him about painting on a cake. We had a project that we had to make our own wedding cake. That was our final project for the quarter, and I had asked him about painting on a cake, and he made the comment that he doesn't really spend a lot of time on decorating like that because you either have it or you don't. So we didn't really spend a ton of time. I mean, we did some fondant work and things like that, but we really didn't spend a whole lot of time on the actual decorating part. It was more of structure and recipes and, very basics of how to produce a quality thing. I don't even think that we really messed with decorated cookies. We did a lot of drop cookies and things like that in our basics class. But I really started on cookies fairly late to the game. I feel like I had already opened my shop, and I feel like cookies were starting to get popular. Like there was a big cupcake trend for a while, and then after that kind of fell off a little bit. Cookies really picked up, and I remember
Making
thinking,
a cupcake.
I just remember thinking, gosh, that looks so tedious. Like, I don't even know if I want to spend my time on that. But I've got 10 million other things to do. I can't spend that long on a cookie. And I kind of reluctantly took the first order that somebody asked me about when I had my shop, and I ended up really loving it. I enjoy that tedious that tedious detail work now. It's odd, but yeah, I never imagined doing that. I was more focused on the muffins and the breads and the cake. I really enjoyed cakes, but yeah, they're definitely a different beast. I feel like, you have a little 3-4 inch canvas to get everything on. And I think I like that. That's fun, like the challenge of it. So,
Well, and it's like you have this little small party in your palm, like you can encompass all the things you want to just on this small little surface. And I agree with you. It's like a bug bites you when you start cookie decorating. It's like you can't get it out of your head. Once you do it
yeah.
once or twice, if you enjoy it, it's just like you're hooked.
Oh yeah. And then of course, after I made that one order and I posted it to Facebook, then it was like, oh, she does cookies now. So I was like, well, I guess I'm getting in the cookie business.
Yes.
But,
Oh, she does cookies now. Yes, that is so how it is.
yeah. Oh yeah. But I do enjoy it.
And people will say, oh, is there a demand for that? And I'm like, I'll just let you run my Facebook messages for a day and you tell me if there's a demand for that.
Yes. People will always have birthdays. People will always have weddings. People will always be having babies. Yeah, it's definitely.
Well, and I think people even enjoy the cookies. Sometimes I think cakes are definitely still going to be a part of party planning and decorating for a long time to come, but it seems like it's easier to do cookies for a party because if you have leftovers, you can save them for a couple months after the party.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's harder to save. I know you're the cake expert. I'm not any good at cake, but it
Oh,
seems
yeah.
harder to save to me.
Definitely. And there's just less mess. I mean, you don't have to, there's not icing everywhere, and somebody's not having to stand there and cut it. And yeah, so there's definitely a lot of pros to the cookies for sure.
But you just can't go without one of those gorgeous Mouth of the South Bakery wedding cakes at your wedding because those things are just show stopping. I see them, I'll be scrolling Instagram and I'm like, ooh, who's this fancy baker with this gorgeous cake? It's Morgan.
Well, thank you. I always tell people, I'm like, we can get fancy, but I like usually the simpler textured stuff. So, but yeah, I like to do a little bit of everything. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's like your simple, you can tell when someone is really talented because their simple looks perfect. If simple doesn't look right, then the fancy stuff isn't going to come in later. But when the simple things look perfect and beautiful, that I think that's the measure of talent.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, slap some fresh flowers on it and you're good to go. I don't, it's just I love the weddings.
Yes, I do too. Leona said, I'm a teacher, but I live for cookies. I can relate.
Yes. Oh, yes. It's fun. Yeah, I feel like it's a great side gig too, or even if you just do it for fun. I love anything crafty like that. It just lets you kind of zone out and you just get to not think about anything else. And I love it. It's great therapy, I think.
Netflix on one side, coffee on the other, cookie in the middle, chill time.
Flooding, you're just sitting there flooding and not, you can just let your mind go.
Yes, it's like therapy. It really is.
Yeah.
Well, my next question is, what was the hardest part for you of learning to decorate cookies? You said that you really weren't taught cookies in your pastry school program. It was you learned on your own. What was the hardest part of learning to work with that royal icing and decorate cookies?
I think so. I use a glaze recipe. I put some meringue powder in it just to kind of help it set, and so it's a little more opaque. But I think it's consistent. The consistency of the icing is just, and I feel like everybody struggles with that because, those first few sets you do and the icing's just running over the side. You just watch it go. And I remember, I'd take my little toothpick and I'd run it around the side and then I'd do 2 more and then I'd come back and that cookie's it's just flooding over the side again.
It's like little kids. If you let it sit for a minute, it's going to be messy again.
Yeah.
I can
I like to detail in royal icing, and sometimes I'll flood. It just depends on, I guess, kind of what design I'm doing. But so there is, there's, I feel like pros and cons of both as far as working with them. So, but yeah, I'd say the consistency was definitely, it just, like, all you can do is practice. There is no, I mean, you've got lots of helpful tips and tricks, which is awesome. I wish that I had known all those when I started. But yeah, some of it's just trial and error if you don't have that to go off of.
Yeah, that was why I started my whole online business and Sarah Grace Cookie Co. What it is now is because when I started, I was like you. Consistency was just, you had to keep trying, you had to work on it and watch a couple videos and kind of pick up from seeing it. Oh, she does that. Let me try that. Yeah. And my whole goal was to try and compile that together and like make it more like tell you what I wish I'd known when I started. Because I agree with you, flooding and the consistency is really hard at first.
Yeah. I mean, it can be discouraging because it's like anything else though. You get on social media and you scroll through all these pages and everybody's looks perfect. And you're like, well, mine doesn't look like that. I just can't do that. I guess I'm just not gonna be able to. And we're hard on ourselves way too soon.
We are. Yeah, and I'm sitting here like I preach all the time about it doesn't have to be perfect. We're our own worst critics, but as I'm doing this Facebook Live and it's not going, when we were getting it set up, it wasn't going the way I wanted it to. I was like, oh, I'm never hosting a Facebook Live again. Nobody's ever going to watch my channel again. But that's not the case. I mean, everybody's patient with you and you just pick back up and keep going.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, all of your tips. If you're listening, if you're on the video, definitely pay attention to all of her tips and tricks because she'll save you so much time and heartache.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad to know that it is helpful and someone who has been doing it for a while and has been through that same trial and error process as me, like you agree that it was something that we needed out there because it feels like all the cookie resources that are out there are just watching the cookie be made. And sometimes that's not as helpful. Like I love watching it, but it isn't really helpful when learning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I was going to ask you too, what is your favorite part of the whole decorating and baking for the public? I know you said you love working from home and the marketing side. Like what's your favorite part of it right now in this season?
Like as far as physically making stuff like cookies, I would say like my favorite part of that is like those final details. I think I've always really liked the marketing side too, but obviously like I'm not up to par on all of that. These people that are in the marketing field
to differ. You are
they know so much and there's so much to it. It's not just, making a post on Facebook, but there's so much to learn. But
I agree.
And I love, obviously, everybody that makes anything, you want people to like it. So when somebody comes and picks up an order and it's just the, like there's nothing, that makes the 2 a.m. running out of butter panics worth it when you get to see somebody's face when they just open that box. It's awesome.
Yes, that's so true. It is the most fulfilling thing when people get so excited over cookies. So recently you shared a post on Facebook, and I think I actually shared it to my page if y'all want to go back and look at it. You had made a baby announcement for your friend who was newly expecting. What was that like? And I just imagine that would be so fulfilling.
It is. I was just telling my friend the other night, it's really, like sometimes I get where, I think we all have these days where I'm like, it's just cakes and cookies. Like, what is that doing to help anybody? What does that actually matter at the end of the day? Like I should be doing something else, but just to see like those life moments and those memories that you're a part of and that you're in the middle of. And like, I love it when I just had for Easter, I had a woman pick up, it was for her grandson's baptism. Well, I did her daughter's wedding cake So I did her daughter's wedding cake. And then when they had the baby shower, I got to do cookies for the baby shower. And then now I got to do cookies for his baptism. And I'm hoping that I get to do something for his first birthday. Like I just love,
so sweet.
I love being able to go through those life moments. Like, you know, you go through people's lives with them. It's really cool, especially if you do it long enough and then you get into more kids and, you know, it's just, I just love it. I try to think about that when I have those days where I'm like, well, it's just cookies. Who cares?
That's so true, though. You're seeing you're getting your customers at their most joyful points in life, the weddings, the birthdays, the anniversaries. Like you're getting to see those big moments, and it's so sweet. I think it's even more so in a small town because you know the people who you're baking for. For me, it is anyway because even though I don't take orders anymore, when I was taking orders, like I would hear from someone who I know or who I have worked with, and they would say, you know, I'm getting married or I'm having a wedding shower. Can you make my cookies for that? And it's just so exciting to get to share in those moments of people who you went to school with or church with, or who you're distantly related to.
Yeah, I remember it was when I had the shop still open, but a girl I went to high school with ordered her son's birthday cake, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, first of all, we're old enough to have kids. I don't know that that's hit me yet. And then you get to be a part of that. It's really cool.
Yeah, that is exciting.
And people love to eat. So, I mean, you know, that just makes it even better.
I know I do. Yes. Well, and like, who's going to be upset about a good tasting sugar cookie? Like you don't have to do a whole lot of customer service. It's like, do you want cookies? Yes, I want cookies. Did you like cookies? Yes, I liked the cookies.
Right.
It makes it a little bit easier because it's not like you're selling something difficult.
Yeah.
I know you said that you have got some big plans coming up with you're opening up is that okay for me to tell before I tell?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, good. Let me just make sure before I spoil any launches that you're having. You said you were going to be opening up a booth at a local marketplace. So I know that's on the horizon for you. And what are your future plans and like your big dreams for your baking business and your baking career?
Well, I have always, you know, I go back all the time to thinking, well, maybe I should open a store again. Maybe I should open a store again. And so I'm not saying that I would never do that because I do think about it all the time, but I think that the marketplace, you know, having a booth will be a nice in between. So I'm really excited about that. I think that's going to be a great set up for a good while. I think it'll be really great, and then possibly at some point opening a store again. But honestly, it's nice not to have the overhead. And it's nice to have, like, you feel like you have a little bit more control than you do with a storefront. So I don't know that I would really like to get into, you've really inspired me with the live or the online classes. And I'll be honest, I have no clue. I mean, it's probably one of those things like you just have to start and just go and figure it out as you do. But I would love to get into something like that because I do cookie classes. I've done one cake class too at a local art studio in town. And I think that would be so much fun to be able to do those online and just kind of you know, then you can kind of do whatever theme and it's more convenient for everybody. And I think that's one goal that I really have. Hopefully in the near future, I might be calling on you to help me.
Yes, well, I'll be glad to. And I think the online classes really do help as far as like COVID proofing. I've heard of a lot of different places going back into lockdown and coming out of lockdown and all that. And I just, you know, lockdown was a big wake up call for me that I need something that I can offer my customers without them having to physically come in contact with another person. And that's really hard to do when you make food. But
oh yeah, definitely
help, and especially doing them online, it really does help. And I'm so excited to see what you do with your booth. I think that's going to be so pretty. What I've seen from you so far, it's going to be so cool.
Well, thank you. I haven't posted anything about it on my page, but I mean, that's just because I've been behind on social media. So
Always,
it's not a secret or anything. I just haven't been on there to post about it. So if you're listening from my page, ta-da, we have a booth coming.
I think it's impossible not to be behind on social media. Like,
I know. It's like you just can never do enough, really, if you think about it. But
and that's the hard
our
part
best.
about it. Like, you want to advertise, you want to grow your business, but you also like have to actually be in the business baking sometimes
Right.
too. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's hard.
You don't realize you've been baking for 10 or 12 hours and you're like, well, I was supposed to post that today because it's National Strawberry Day or whatever, but oh, I missed it. I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah. And I'll sit down at the beginning of the week and like schedule out everything that I'm going to have for the week. And I'm like, all right, I'm rocking social media this week. I'm so excited. And then I'll watch a video or listen to a podcast and they'll give some tips. And I'm like, well, I got to cancel everything and start over. Or I've got to post this, or I forgot to schedule that. It's just never ended.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, Cynthia has a really good question. Cynthia says, Cindy, I'm sorry. Cynthia's told me several times that, or I've asked her that she prefers to be called Sandy. She's like my mom. Her full name is Cynthia, but I'm sorry, Sandy. I always just read. And anyway, she says, because I live in a small area and don't want to take away business of the current cookie people, I don't like ruffling feathers. She also wants to know, okay, so she's asking that because she first asked, how do you get sales on Facebook or in different areas? And not necessarily Facebook, but on other sites like Etsy. Like, do you have any experience selling online?
So I don't have an Etsy or anything, which I know in Tennessee, we can't, under college food laws, we can't ship. So I feel like that affects the Etsy a lot. As far as, I'm in a small town too. I mean, Shelbyville's pretty small. I mean, I don't know. It feels very small. I think we have like 25,000 people, but, as far as, ruffling feathers and all that, and I know Christy says this all the time, like there's more than enough business to go around for everybody. Mm-hmm. And I fully believe that even if you are in a very small place or you feel like your area is oversaturated, I just think that there's more than enough to go around, number one. Number two, everybody has their own style. And just because somebody else is decorating cookies, that doesn't mean that your cookies are going to look like theirs. So somebody may just like your style better. And as far as getting orders on Facebook, I do probably like 90% of my business on Facebook, just through Facebook. I don't really advertise on like public pages or anything, like groups, mom groups and stuff like that. It's a great idea. Like for those, I'm not a mom, and so I'm like, I don't even know if I could get into that group. But things like that. It's just word of mouth. And I think that, your friends and your family, hopefully you have really supportive friends and family like I do, but I just think that that's the easiest and quickest way. You drop stuff off at your dentist office or drop stuff off at the real estate office, or you bought your house or, just things like that. Just because it is a small town, it's likely that you do, more people than you think you do. And so I think that it is intimidating and you're like, I don't want to bother anybody, but
I agree. It is hard. And Cindy said, great answer. Thank you. She feels better now. That's awesome, Cindy.
Good. It makes me feel better. That you feel better.
I think what you said about dropping things off at your dentist office or dropping things off locally is a really great way. I know sometimes Facebook can feel so public, even though we're saying that it's only reaching 100 people. We're like, what if those 100 people were so-and-so's cousins who sells cookies down the road?
Right.
Like, it is really scary because you don't know who those 100 people are, and it feels so public. It's like you're under a microscope. But if you're just taking a plate of cookies to the local school or the local church or the local bank teller's break room or whatever, that doesn't feel as super public. But those 5 people, it's very much like Facebook. It just feels less public. Those 5 people are going to taste your cookies and tell 5 people. And then 5 people they told are going to tell 5 people. And then one day when one of those 20 people that you've kind of got in touch with hear someone say, I need cookies for this event, then they're going to say, oh, have you heard of Morgan? She makes
Right.
these cookies. Or have you heard of Cindy? She makes the most beautiful cookies and they taste great. I tried some at the bank. So it really does make a difference.
Too. I mean, it's easy to get discouraged too, that if you don't have a ton of orders, if you feel like, well, I only have one order this weekend. Well, let's say it's for a baby shower and there's 25 people at that baby shower. I can't tell you how many orders that I get from somebody else just happen to be attending that. And I'm not even the greatest about, like, I don't, put individual stickers on my bags with my name on it or anything like that. I probably should. That's probably a good idea, but from somebody eating something at an event they went to, and then I'll get orders from that. So don't let that discourage you. If you're not you don't feel like you're sending out a ton of stuff, you just need a few of the right people to get a hold of it. And then, like you said, they're going to go tell somebody, or they're going to remember you, or, So.
I agree. I think that was something we even learned about in that business boutique program we were in, was to serve who you have. If you only have that one customer, super serve them so that you get 10 customers from that one. Put all your effort and energy, since you only have one order this weekend, you can put all your effort and energy and all your care and love into making that one order the best it can be, making that dough super soft and awesome, making the decorations super pretty. And when someone tries that, they're going to be so amazed by it that they have to ask who made the cookies, whether there's a sticker on them or not. So like you said, taking it as an opportunity is a big thing. Every order is a big opportunity.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Put that big pretty bow on it, write your little thank you card and put on there. Yeah. I try to do my best too about, like after a couple of days after the shower or birthday or whatever, just say, hey, thank you again. I hope you really enjoy them. Hope y'all had a great time, and I feel like that, it's not a big deal. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but I would really enjoy that if somebody sent me that message after I picked something up. So just trying to think about
like such a difference.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think about it being such a big deal just to get a thank you note, but that does make a big part of why people might come back, because you wrote that handwritten thank you note, or because you put that pretty bow on their box that made it their special day even more special.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, I am looking at the comments and I hope I didn't miss anyone's question, but if y'all have any more questions, go ahead and post them in the comments. We can reply to them after the fact today. Even if we don't see them right now while we're in the video, we can reply to them later on after that. But Morgan, I know you've got bacon to do and I've kept you much longer than I intended to.
It was a lovely break. I enjoyed it. So I'm thankful.
I love that shirt too. That's super cute.
I got that off of I don't remember. It was a Facebook thing that popped up. I don't remember what it's called, but
I'm sorry. I just got super distracted. That's so pretty. But anyway, thank you for being patient with me as we got started today. And I apologize for keeping you a little longer than expected, but thank you again for being here. Y'all can follow Morgan at Mouth of the South Bakery. Let's tell them where they can find you, Morgan. You'll be able to tell it better than me.
So I'm on Instagram and Facebook. I put everything on both of them. I try to. So, and everything is at Mouth of the South Bakery. Facebook is just Mouth of the South Bakery. So.
Okay, awesome. Well, I know y'all will love everything that she does. It's so beautiful. I love to scroll through Instagram and be inspired by the designs you're making, because they're just stunning. And especially if you make things besides cookies. I know lots of us are just general home bakers, and so we make things like cupcakes, cakes, all the things. So I think you really have a niche there and a gift in the cake department, which I don't have. I cannot level a cake to save my life, but if y'all need some good cake inspiration and some good cookie inspiration, go follow Morgan.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You're super sweet.
Thank you. Well, it's so good to see you, and I can't wait to see you live in person in the same room one day. We'll get together.
One day.
Yes.
Yes, one day.
Well, I'll see you later, girl. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy, for your question. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.